Hello and welcome. This is Private U.S. Copyright Attorney Eric Kelly. In this video, I'm going over the general process of how to seek U.S. copyright registration of a video that you have created or of a video in which you own the copyrights. This could apply to any human creative video, such as, but not limited to, videos you have uploaded to a social media platform like YouTube or to any other social media platform. Or this could apply to music videos if you are a musician, singer, rapper, and or songwriter. This could apply to vlog videos. This could apply to explainer videos and or to how-to videos. This could also apply to product review videos. However, if your video includes content from others, such as but not limited to AI-generated content and or copyright protected works from others, which is pretty common in like reaction videos, then seeking U.S. copyright registration in your video can get a bit more complicated. In those situations, the copyright in your video might be what we call a thin copyright, since you may need to limit your copyright claim in your video by limiting out the non-protectable elements in the given video. In any event, let's get into this one. Before I get into how to use the standard application at the U.S. Copyright Office to seek copyright registration in a video, let me note why obtaining a U.S. copyright registration may be extremely important to you. First, there's a nuance or a subtlety that we all should be clear on. This particular video of mine is all about the copyright registration process for a video and not about creating the copyright in the first place. Know that a copyright automatically comes into existence the moment that the given creative work, such as a video, is created in some tangible medium of expression. So what does that mean? For example, as soon as your video, when you're making a video, as soon as your video is saved to file, its copyright comes into legal existence. That's what it means as the video or the creative work exists in some tangible medium of expression. A digital file of some sort is often a tangible medium of expression. So any video that you've already made, that you've ever made, very likely already does have a copyright associated with that given video. So what we are talking about here in my video is seeking registration of those already existing copyrights in your videos. Okay, the first reason you want to obtain copyright registration in your videos is for enforcement of your copyright. That is, if someone uses your video or a portion of it without your permission, that basically may be copyright infringement. That's an infringement of your copyright. And if you end up having to sue that alleged copyright infringer, then you must have your copyright registered. That is, copyright registration basically gives you access to the courthouse. The copyright registration is what gives you the keys to the courthouse in order to even sue in the first place for copyright infringement. If you do not have your copyright registered, the court will dismiss your copyright infringement lawsuit. And even if you do not sue for copyright infringement, having your copyright registered very often improves the strength of your various enforcement activities, such as if you're sending out a cease and desist letter, your cease and desist letter will generally be stronger if your copyright is registered. And similarly, if you're making a DMCA takedown notice, if your copyright had been registered, then your DMCA takedown notice is going to be in a stronger position. So copyright registration should help you with your efforts in enforcing your copyright. A second reason seeking copyright registration in your videos may be important to you has to do with licensing of your videos to others. So if you license your video to another, then having your copyright registered can be important because your copyright registration at the U.S. Copyright Office is evidence of your copyright ownership and that your copyright is real and valid. So it's going to make your potential licensee much more comfortable in the licensing deal if they really know A, that you own the copyright in question, and that B, that the copyright is real and valid. So those are some reasons why you might want to seek copyright registration in one or more of your videos. Okay, so let's get into the details of using the standard application at the U.S. Copyright Office to seek copyright registration in a given video. Okay, so the first place you need to go is to the home page for the U.S. Copyright Office, which you can see right here is basically the web address or the domain name of copyright copyright.gov. So you want to go to copyright.gov, and that should take you to the home page for the U.S. Copyright Office, which you can see right here. Next, you're going to want to come over here where it says registration, and you want to click on that drop-down menu because we're going to be going into the registration process. And once you've clicked on the drop-down menu for registration, you want to come over here to where it says register your work, registration portal. We're going to go to the registration portal next. So we'll be clicking on the registration portal here. Okay, so now the registration portal page has loaded up, which is what you can see here. And then basically we're looking at this blue button right here is where you're going to be clicking next. And this is how you log into your account at the U.S. Copyright Office to start a particular U.S. copyright registration application. So we're going to go ahead and click on this kind of large blue button as our next step here. Okay, so here's the next screen which pops up after you've clicked that previous large blue button. And you can see over here on the left side is where you'd enter your user ID and your password and click login. Now, if you haven't already set up an account at the U.S. Copyright Office, you'll have to do that first, obviously. And you can do that right here. It says if you are a new user, click here to register. You should go ahead and do that. It's a basic process that you've done on probably many other types of websites. So once you do have an account set up, you're going to basically log into that account right here. Enter your user ID, password, and click login. And then you'll be taken to this screen, which is the starting point. And then over here, where my cursor is, or where I'm highlighting, these are the various different types of copyright registration applications that we can select to basically then start completing. And for this video, my video here, which is about the registration of copyrights in videos, we're going to be using the standard application. So that's basically going to be this. We'll use the standard application per video that you want to register the copyright in. So you do one video at a time basically with this process. So we're going to click on the standard application link right here to start the U.S. copyright registration application using the standard application framework. So once you've clicked that standard application link, this is where you're going to begin. So to start the registration process, we'll click this button here that says start registration. However, you can pause the video and look over some of these exceptions. This tells you a number of things what the standard application is not really appropriate for. And then down here, to complete the application for registration, it gives us kind of 3 broad steps. So the first one being we're going to provide all the required information using the online application form, which we will get to by clicking on the Start Registration button here. Then after we've gone through that whole process and filled out all the online forms, at that point, we've reviewed it, then we'll pay the fee to the U.S. Copyright Office, which might be something like $65 currently. And then after we've paid the fee, the very final step is right here, where it says upload, where we'll basically upload a copy of the video to the U.S. Copyright Office, and then the entire process of preparing and filing your U.S. copyright registration application for a video will basically be done. So now we're going to click on the Start Registration button and get into this standard application in detail. So here's the standard application, or at least the beginning of it. And you can see that there's a number of different sections here that we're going to work through. So we're going to start off with the type of work, then we're going to get into the title of the work, then we're going to get into whether or not the work, and the work in this case is the video, whether or not the video has been published or not, who are the authors of the video, who are the claimants, which is the owner and the copyright. Sometimes the claimant and the authors are the same, but that doesn't have to be the case. Then we'll do the limitation section. The limitation section will only be applicable if you're trying to exclude non-protectable content from the copyright registration claim. The rights and permission section is where you'll enter the person's contact information for like a potential licensee who they should contact if they want to license use of your video. Correspondent information is who the Copyright Office should contact if there's a problem with the copyright registration application. So normally the correspondent information would be me as the attorney. So the Copyright Office would contact me, the attorney, if there's an issue with the copyright registration application. And then here, the mail certificate section, you'll enter the address of where you want the copyright registration certificate to be mailed to, which is generally going to be the owner, which is also known as the claimant. The special handling section would generally only apply if you're trying to expedite or speed up the registration application process because maybe you have pending litigation or planned litigation, and that requires an additional fee. Generally not going to be applicable if you're not in the process of suing someone for copyright registration. Usually this special handling section will just be skipped. And then lastly is the certification, where you kind of review, and you're basically going to enter your name as the person who's filling out the copyright registration application. And then lastly, you'll review your submission before you actually submit it. Anyway, we'll start off with the type of work. So type of work, you hit this drop-down box right here, drop-down menu box, And for our video, we're going to be selecting this one where it says motion picture and or audiovisual work. Videos are basically audiovisual works, or sometimes they can be motion pictures depending upon what's the contents of the particular video. But in any event, we're going to be selecting this particular link or button right here for the type of work. So you can see we've selected motion picture audiovisual work, and then that takes us to the next screen. And then before we go on to the hit this continue button, we have to click this little button right here. Also, you can pause the screen and read this information. This gives you kind of a definition of what audiovisual works are and gives you some examples. So in addition to basically videos, audiovisual works could also be video games, PowerPoint presentations, so things like that. So we'll go ahead and click this button and then hit continue. Okay, so now you can see we've completed the type of work section. We're on to the title section. So here we're going to click new, and then we're basically going to select the title for this video that we're submitting. So we've hit new, and now we're going to select under this drop-down menu the type of title that we're doing. And generally, we're just going to say the title of the work being registered. We're going to generally select that one, and then below that, we're going to enter the title of the video, whatever title we want to use. So I've just entered a made-up title for the purposes of my video here, which is a test for teaching purposes as the title of my video or my mock-up video that I'm pretending to submit to the U.S. Copyright Office. And then from here, we'll hit save. Now you can see that the title of the video that we're submitting has been entered down here. And if we had other titles, if this was part of a collective work, we would hit new again. But for our purposes, we're generally doing one video per standard application. So after we've entered the title of our video, we're going to click continue, which will then bring us onto the publication section. So now we're into the publication section. You can see the previous two sections have now been completed. So for the publication section, we're basically going to state whether our video has been published or not. So you can see here we have an option, yes, it was published, or no, it was not published. And publication per U.S. copyright law, the definition for publication under the law is found at Title 17 of the United States Code, Section 101. And in that particular section, Section 101, the definition of publication can be found. So you can read that and try to determine whether or not you think your video has been published or not, and then make the determination accordingly. Note, I have asked the Copyright Office myself whether or not they consider like a YouTube video to be published or not, and they basically said they don't know. They kind of pushed it back on me, and all they did is quote the law back at me. So based upon my reading of the law, I would say that the mere posting of a video on YouTube is not necessarily a publication under the law. At least that's how I would interpret the law. And then even if you click no, that the video has not been published, this is what the screen will look like. You will have to enter basically the year in which the video was created. And once you've done that, you would hit continue. And then in the next screen, I'll show you what it looks like if you had selected yes. If you had selected yes, your video has been published, and this is the screen you'll see. You need to enter the year when the video was created. You also need to enter the date of first publication, and you need to enter where that publication was, for example, the United States, if that's what the situation was. Like if it was just something posted online and it was basically published everywhere, then I would just put the United States for the nation of publication. So going back to if the example where the video was not published, you'd click no, not published, the year of completion, and I'm just putting 2024 as an example. You'd click continue. Once you hit continue, that's going to complete the publication section and move us on to the author section. So we've completed the publication section, and now we're into the author section. So you're going to click new, and then that'll take you to a new page to add each individual author. So depending upon how many authors there might be for your video, you might be adding, more than one author, or there might just be one. It depends on each video is unique in that situation. So once you've clicked new to add an author, you'll basically have this kind of information. You need to add the author's name and their citizenship. Now this can get a little nuanced, but sometimes the author happens to be an organization, and so you instead of entering a person's name, you'd enter the organization's name, and if you're doing that, then you'd enter the domicile for that organization. Whereas if you're doing just the person as the author, then you're going to enter the citizenship for that particular person. So you'll complete this, and you'll hit save. So I've entered basically some kind of dummy information just as an example. I'm going to hit save. And now we come to this page. So for the previous author that we just entered, we now have to indicate what contributions that author made to this particular video. And here are some of the default sections. So you can click that author, did everything. And if they didn't do everything, then you need to start looking at these other options. Maybe they're involved in only the production and or cinematography or direction and editing, the script or screenplay, and others. So you can also hit other and enter, other types of contributions that the author might have made to that particular video. So here's some notes from the U.S. Copyright Office about what those things mean. So here's a bullet point referring to the entire motion picture. If the contribution was to the production, if the contribution was as to direction, script or screenplay, cinematography, editing, and there could be others. You can enter other. So for example, in other here, they give you an example which you might want to put depending upon what the author contributed to. So in this particular example, I've said that the author didn't do the entire motion picture, but they did production, direction, editing, script and screenplay, and then right here for other, I also said that they did the selection. Their contribution was also their selection and arrangement of all the contents of the video. So that's what I put in this other field for this particular example. And just going back to the definitions of like the entire motion picture, you'd only click that button if the author did everything. So they did the direction, the production, the editing, the music, the script, screenplay, and the cinematography. So you're only going to click that particular button if the author did everything for the video. Anyway, once you've let this form know what contributions that particular author made for this video, you'll click Save. And then we've completed the authors section, assuming that there was only one author for this particular video, which brings us to the next section, which is the claimant. The claimant is the owner of the copyright in this particular video, so that may or may not be the same as the author. So basically here on the claimant screen, you're going to enter who the owner is of the copyright. And you can see here on the screen, I basically just entered some dummy information as these, make-believe owner for this particular copyright in this particular made-up video. So you'll complete all this, and again, you'll hit Save. Once you hit Save, that'll complete the claimant section and take us to the next section, which will be the limitation of claim section. Also, at the bottom of this claimant section, if you're the owner because there was a written contract that makes you the owner, that's where you would put that information right here. Okay, so now we're at the limitation of claim section, and this section will only be used if your video includes contents that were not made by you. Basically, if you have creative elements in your video from others or from AI, this is where you would exclude or limit that information out from your copyright claim. In addition, like if your video includes music from someone else, or even if it's music from yourself, but you've previously registered that music as like a sound recording at the Copyright Office, then you could enter the previous copyright registration information here. So basically you want to, over here, you want to basically tell the Copyright Office what material is being excluded from your copyright claim. Under this column, you want to tell the Copyright Office what material has been previously registered. And then over here in this section, under this last column on the far right, you're basically indicating what are the new elements in the video that are being included for protection in this copyright claim for this video of yours. So here's the help screen from the U.S. Copyright Office, which kind of explains the limitation of claim section that we're on right now. So you can pause the video and look at any of these here. And I'll go ahead and scroll down a little bit for you too, so you can look at any of those. Okay, so going back to this page on the limitation of claim page, in my example here, I'm saying that my video had some elements from generative AI, it could be from any of them. And so that's what I'm putting down here in this other box. I'm putting visual elements were from generative AI, so that the Copyright Office knows that those elements in my video need to be basically limited or not included in my copyright claim. And then I'd go ahead and click pre-existing footage button to link these kind of together. And this is just an example. Again, if none of this applies to your particular video, then you can skip this section and you don't have to enter anything here. So I've clicked pre-existing footage that I want to exclude, and pre-existing footage that I want to exclude from protection are the visual elements that were made from generative AI in my make-believe video here. Just as a mere example, I've also indicated that some parts of the new contribution that I do want protected in this video are the production. That is the author, the human author of this make-believe video here. They did act as a producer and did production work on this particular video. So that would be clicked here. You can click any of these that are applicable, anything that's new to this video that you want to have protected. So once we're done with the section, if we have anything to put in the section at all, if it's even applicable, then we'll click continue, which will then take us to the rights and permissions section next. Okay, so you can see we've completed everything prior to the rights and permissions section. Everything up here is checked. And now in the rights and permission, you're just basically entering the contact information of who you want a potential licensee to contact if they want to try and get a license to use your video. So if you're represented by an attorney, you basically put their information here. Otherwise, you generally would put your own contact information, or whoever the owner, the claimant information you might put here as well. This is who potential licensees should reach out to if they want to try to obtain a license to use your video. So you'll complete this section and you hit continue, which will then advance us to the next section, which is the correspondent section. Okay, so now we're at the correspondent section, and again, you're entering the contact information for whoever you want the Copyright Office to contact should there be a problem or issue with your copyright registration application. So if they have if the Copyright Office has any questions or needs clarification about things, this is who they should reach out to. Again, if you're represented by an attorney, the correspondent section here should have your attorney's contact information here. And if not, then you'd probably have the owner's contact information here, which is also known as the claimant. So we'd click continue, which will advance us to the next section, which is the mail certificate section. And in the mail certificate section, you're basically entering the address, the mailing address of where you want the copyright registration certificate mailed to. This is generally going to be the mailing address for the copyright owner, also known as the claimant. So once you've entered that information, you'll click continue, which will advance us to the next section. Okay, here's the special handling section. And again, you're generally only going to be completing this section if you need the Copyright Office to expedite and speed up or accelerate their review process of your application. And you might generally only need that is if you're either engaged in litigation or you're contemplating suing someone for copyright infringement, then you might want to need to do the special handling. And if you do special handling, you also have to pay an extra fee, which is quite a lot, hundreds of dollars over to the Copyright Office. So in my example here, I'm assuming we don't need to do this, so we're going to leave this section entirely blank and just hit continue. So now we're at the certification section. This is basically where you enter the person's name who has completed all the above form, basically. So if your attorney was completing it, they would put their name here. And the other nice thing about this particular section, the certification section, is it has this note to the Copyright Office. So you can use this note for a number of things. One of the notes I put here, I said that all visual elements in the video were created by generative AI. So this kind of piggybacks back on that limitation of claim section, just to make it clear that we're not trying to claim that the AI contributions to this make-believe video are included in our copyright claim. Now, if you had put for publication, no, your video wasn't published, but it had been uploaded to YouTube, you could also put in this information down here. You could state that this video was uploaded to YouTube on this particular date. So you could also give that information to the Copyright Office, so then they can evaluate it and make the determine whether or not you are correct in picking whether the video has been published or not published. In any event, once you're done with this section, and after you put your name in here, or the name of whoever completed this form, and you put any notes to the Copyright Office, if any, you'd click continue, and then we go ahead and get to review all these previous sections to make sure everything's there that we want there. So here's the review section. So you can, at the very top, you get to see the type of work. We had selected motion picture audiovisual work. You can see our title. We selected no publication. Here's the author information. Here's the claimant information. And going back to the author information, you can also look at what we said that their contributions were. We said they were involved. And this is just for this particular video. It could be different under your circumstances, but we said this particular author contributions were with the editing, the direction, the screenplay, cinematography. Oh, we said no to the cinematography, no to the motion picture, yes to production. We also said that our author contributed with the selection and arrangement of video contents. So everything basically with a Y, yes, and the other field, those are the things that we're claiming that our copyright claim attaches to or protects. Here's our claimant information. And in the claim limitation areas, we basically said that any of the visual elements from generative AI in the video are not being claimed. And that was just an example, so you know what to do if you ever have that kind of situation. And this is just scrolling down. You can see the rest of so we see the rights and permissions, correspondent, the mail certificate. So the rights and permission, the correspondent, and the mail, those are all basically contact or address information fields that you complete in the copyright registration application. And then lastly, you can see the certification section where we put the person's name, whoever completed all of this, and we included any notes to the Copyright Office such that any generative AI contributions should be disclaimed, and maybe that any subject videos were published or not published, but were uploaded on particular dates to YouTube or whatever other platform that might be applicable here. So once we've done with our review process, we're going to click Add to Cart. And then after we've clicked Add to Cart, you go ahead and pay for this copyright registration application. And I'm not going to show you the payment portion because I'm not actually going to pay for this particular, this is basically just a dummy application. After you've paid for the particular copyright registration application that you just filed with the Copyright Office, then that's at the point then where you'll upload the video to the Copyright Office. And there'll be an online screen prompt for you to do that. It's pretty obvious of how to do that. And then here I just wanted to show you some definitions from the Copyright Office, how they define motion pictures and how they define audiovisual works. And you can see that if you want to look up the actual legal statute where this definition applies, it's again Title 17 United States Code, Section 101, which is also the statutory section that has the definition for publication. So Section 101 basically has the definitions for lots of different terms and phrases used under U.S. copyright law. You can pause the screen and look at these definitions, but these motion pictures and audiovisual works are basically the type of work that applies to videos. That's why we're looking at this. Okay, then we're going to wrap up this video just by looking at the Copyright Office filing fees. So again, if you're at the Copyright Office and you go in, or the Copyright Office's website, and you click on their search button, and you just hit in the search phrase fees, it'll take you to this page and you'll see fees right here. You just click on this fees link and that'll show you that's probably the fastest way to get to the fees section at the U.S. Copyright Office. So once you're then at the fees section, you're going to click on registration and you'll see the different possible registration fees for filing a U.S. copyright registration application. So we did a standard application, and as you can see currently, the standard application U.S. Copyright Office governmental filing fee is $65. If we had done a different type of application, then maybe one of these other types of fees would be applicable. For example, if we had done a group of unpublished works, $85, and you can see the different fees for different types of copyright registration applications. But for the standard application, this is what we're looking at, the U.S. Copyright Office filing fee. Lastly, due to the cost to register the copyright in a given video, it's very likely not realistic to seek registration of every single video you make, especially if you have a ton of videos. So instead, perhaps consider seeking registration of the copyrights in your videos that are well monetized and/or where it's important to you to control who uses that particular video. Okay, this has been U.S. copyright attorney Eric Kelly, and I do work with clients from all over the world and all over the United States. And I do handle copyright matters, trademark matters, and patent matters. Copyrights deal with protecting creative works, and trademarks deal with protecting branding, and patents deal with protecting new inventions, new products. And lastly, you can see here some contact information for me should you want to reach out to me regarding intellectual property matters. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel to help me reach others about intellectual property matters. And here's some of my other suggested videos on U.S. copyright issues. Thank you.